What's up, everybody? Welcome to the last Friday session for 2025. Sadly, we had to end on a very somber note, given what happened in Bondi just recently, our beautiful beach here in Australia. Obviously, we talked about that for perhaps the first half of the pod, and then we moved on to something else, which I think you'll find super interesting, which is some real data around the impact of what Tesla is doing, numbers that you will not probably have heard before that are just starting to come out of the US now, that I think if you're an investor, you need to pay attention. If you are an employee of any kind, it's probably going to impact you. So it was a really, really good second half of this podcast as well. And we closed with a really special clip that I think every Australian should watch as we go into this Christmas break. It is a beautiful, feel-good clip that we found during the week, and it's the perfect way to end Unemployable's year in 2025. So with that said, if you like the content, make sure you drop us a comment. If you don't already subscribe, please do, and enjoy the final episode of the Friday sessions in 2025. So guys, here we are, Tuesday, 16th of December. We're recording for our Friday session, and obviously the unavoidable story of this week is Bondi. I just want to check in with you guys, how you're feeling. I think we've all seen so many clips and reels and news stories, but like Eric, you were saying that this is hitting you. How are you feeling, mate?
Yeah, I am quite emotional, to be honest with you. Like the whole Charlie Kirk thing hit me, but this hit me a lot more. And I just think, like, when you're targeting, like in the Charlie Kirk thing, one person, it's that one person. And here was just, they were targeting multiple people, and you can see that they were targeting the Jewish people. And from the videos I was watching, they were waving other people away, right? That to them obviously weren't part of that community. And then just to see people being picked off. I got sent a few videos from a mate, which I'm sure you guys have, right? Some of those kind of underground videos that aren't being shown on the news and stuff. And it's hard to comprehend and put in words, and it's been taking a lot of headspace for me. Because I've been watching it and looking at it and just seeing, the devastation that has occurred. And then you see, that hero, Ahmad al-Ahmad, tackle the guy and get shot multiple times. Like the headspace you would need to be in at that point in time to go, you know what? I'm going to risk my life for others that you don't even know. And you don't even know what's going on. It's a lot. It's a lot to take in right now, to be honest. It's a lot to take in.
Anybody else want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I for nostalgic reasons, in one respect, like from that footbridge, I lived for 10 years, 50 meters from there, and know that territory like the back of my hand. I used to walk out of that bridge every single day. So it's just like, holy shit, not at our Bondi. That doesn't happen here. It was a proper shock. And then, as Eric said, seeing some footage from directly across the road on Campbell Parade, and I know the apartment block it came from. I'm not too sure how public that footage is. I'm not willing to share it, but it was pretty harrowing to watch. Just what must be going through their mind. Anyway, it's just hard to unpack. See exactly what Eric said as well, of that guy deliberately shooing general public away, and being that narrowed into the Jewish community is pretty wild. So yeah, a bit of shock, really.
I mean, every part of it just makes you feel sick to your stomach. Like there's no zero silver lining that can be found in any of it. And, you know, to Eric's point, it's like Charlie Kirk, but also other shootings that happen in other countries. We kind of think, we obviously think it's terrible, but we think, oh, that's not Australia, fortunately. And then you kind of, twice now, Bondi has been the scene of these events, with the shopping center incident, and now this. And I look at it and I just get so worried because of the trend. Like the trend is going in the wrong direction for this kind of violence, and it's a huge issue. It's just a huge issue, but you know, first and foremost, like we're 10 days away from Christmas and holidays, and some innocent families that were just minding their own business, celebrating, were targeted. And I think there's no place ever for innocent people to be targeted. No matter what's going on in the world, there's just no place for innocent people to be targeted anywhere.
It's sad when you have your wife and 2 daughters yesterday go to the shopping center to pick up a few things, and on the back of your mind, you're thinking, hopefully they come home.
No,
Because like that's the reality. Like no one thought, you know, like I had a message from someone close to you, Adam, saying that they were there yesterday. They were actually 2 days ago. They were actually there. You know, and she said it was the scariest thing.
And it just changes the whole fabric of the community as well. Like I know from that Bondi Junction stabbing. I have good friends that live in Bondi Junction. The lady that was actually murdered was a wife of a mate of mine. And it just changed the whole dynamic of shopping in Bondi Junction, which used to be a family place, as you mentioned, Eric, forever. Now that she gets full-time, you know, security gets beefed up. It just doesn't go back to how it was because the time lapse, it keeps up. To what point then does it sort of roll over into?
How about you, Adam?
Mate, I've gone through such a gamut of emotions in the last 48 hours, from like outrage to just sadness. And I think it's particularly difficult now because I remember when 9/11 happened, right? And for months afterwards, you'd see planes flying in the sky, and you'd see buildings, and you couldn't get the image out of your mind. And you go, is that plane going to go over the city, or is it going to go into the city? And it's just such an illogical thing. But it, again, like all terrorist acts, they target the most iconic, the most memorable, like Mark said. And now they're targeting whoever it is. And that's a whole nother thing. But they're targeting iconic Australian landmarks, our Harbour Bridge, our Opera House, our, you know, Bondi Beach and these things. But I've gone through a whole gamut of emotions, but I think the layer that's really messing with my head as opposed to 9/11. Back in 9/11, I mean, this is, by the way, what terrorism is. It's designed to put fear and doubt and create terror and nervousness inside of all of us. So to that end, it's definitely doing that. But I think what's changed so much now is that we have social media and we don't know what to believe. And that is really fucking with me, you know, especially now that I've got a social media platform myself. You know, I posted something yesterday, which I pulled down afterwards. I posted 2 things actually, which were up briefly, and I pulled them down afterwards because I thought, man, there are certain aspects of this that I don't know actually what to believe anymore of what I'm seeing, you know? Now, of course, I'm not doubting people were shot and injured and hurt, but there's just parts of it that just don't feel quite right on both sides that I just can't reconcile. And my gut feeling is that there's some really, really bad people out there. And I'm not just talking about the gunmen. I'm talking about there's other stuff going on. But So I'm finding it really, really hard to reconcile. And I think also it's really interesting reflecting on the fact that here we are, and not to minimize what's going on, but we see 15 deaths. Imagine how our forefathers who were at war, like imagine processing bombs being dropped and hundreds and thousands of people being killed a day. And it just is such a, in one way, a bit of a reminder of how generally the world has been quite peaceful. And then we see something like this on our shores and how shocked we are when it comes home to Australia. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just processing a lot of things at the moment, and I've gone through a lot of emotion around it. And social media is not, I'm really struggling with I don't feel good in my mind, having consumed as much as I have over the last couple of days watching this and trying to form a view for this podcast. I'm left a bit feeling not great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like do we even want to talk about those things today, or just leave them for another day?
Yeah.
Some of the things that I find just incredible is that ASIO, which is Australia's version of FBI, was looking into this guy 6 years ago,
Correct.
and he's still here.
Well, he's an Australian citizen. He was born here. The actual young guy was
wow.
born in Australia. His
Okay.
dad came out here in 1998 on a student visa for the other gunman, the father, and then he converted to a longer-term visa and so on. But the boy was actually born in Australia. He's an Australian citizen that actually did this. So he's not, in the customary sense of the word, an immigrant. He was born here, and obviously radicalized, if that's the narrative, that's the truth. I just don't know what to believe.
What's crazy about what you just
scary. That makes it even more scary that there's people that were born in this country that have grown up with the values and culture of this country, you could say. I mean, who knows what they practice at home, but that they would still do something like this. It's a hard pill to swallow.
And I think I dropped a link in there. It was not just Australia. It's in Australia, but it wasn't just Australia. There's a Hanukkah in Amsterdam as well that similar sort of attack has taken place. So yeah, I understand it doesn't happen to us, but it certainly has.
Or it's happening right now in Toronto. My mom, I talked to her this morning, and they're doing a candlelight vigil for the Jewish community, and they're already on very, very high alert there. And again, it's just like what you said, Adam. This is exactly what terrorism is, right? Trying to put the fear of God into you. But like when you hear things like on news.com, Tony Burke, there was an article that came out. He's the Home Affairs Minister, saying that things like our intelligence agencies can only work with what they have and work with what they know. They will never be all seeing or all knowing. So basically, like, you'll never be able to capture or see all of these things happening, right? And that's what I think he's going by. Like when you look at that, because people are saying 6 years ago he was on the list, right? There was the young guy that was on the list, not the dad. But then the dad's got 6 licensed firearms, living in the same house with a person that was, not involved, but I guess some type of involvement in an Islamic State cell is what they were saying. Like this does not make sense to me. How it's just like we investigated him for 6 months, didn't see anything, and then it's like all is good. Like, would you not have the finger on the pulse a little bit, just ongoing, right? I don't know.
The same thing happened in 9/11, Eric. Or like a lot of the 9/11 hijacking pilots were actually flagged like a year prior to 9/11 and allowed to come from other countries into the US. And And this is I agree with you, Adam. This is the hardest thing for me is not knowing what to believe. That I feel like there's so many levels of evil that we just don't know about, and that's why I've kind of never liked the Gaza debate. I've never liked all those things because there's just so many levels and years of history to the things that are going on, and it's like, and there's so much conspiracy that goes on on the internet as well, and you
Yeah.
literally don't know what to believe, and you're not just terrified of the terrorism, you're terrified about what to believe.
And what you're going to post and share. Like I'll talk about this at a high level. Like I said I wasn't going to mention this on the pod, but I will, because I think it's an interesting reflection. Like the stuff I put up, you could broadly say was pro-Jewish, right? Like obviously I have been anti extreme Muslim, right? Not anti-Muslim and not extreme Muslim, Islam, right? Anti-extreme Islamist ideas. I have been not anti-Muslim, anti-extremist ideas. And there was a clip that I saw. Now, again, even saying this, I'm treading very, very lightly, because if this guy is authentic, then it's horrific. And so I'm not saying it's not, but there was a particular interview that I think every Australian will be able to recall, with the guy with the blood all over his face and the bandaged up head. Now, I've been publicly pro-Jewish, anti-extreme Islam, right? But watching that interview, when I watched it closely, there's just something in my gut that says there's something not right about that interview. And I feel bad saying it if it's legit, because it's such a horrific story, but it's the guy who survived October 7th, found himself on Bondi Beach again with his face covered in blood. But there was just certain things about that clip that just, when I watch it inside, I go, I don't trust this. There's something not right in my gut. And now you're second guessing, like literally a guy that has just been in the shooting, potentially, with his face covered in blood. And for some reason, I don't trust. See, if you don't trust that, what do you trust, right?
And that's the issue. There's been so much distrust that, and like you said, with social media, no one knows what to
What's
believe
real.
anymore. But the thing is, with extreme ideology, right? They are so strong in their beliefs that there's no turning back with extreme ideology, right? Like their beliefs are with absolute moral certainty. There is no compromise, right? And this is why, James, when you're going, what are they thinking? We will never understand. The only people that will ever understand, I'm assuming, would be someone with an extreme ideology on one thing, right? Like it's literally, you're in the group or you're out of the group. You're either with us or you're against us, right? And they justify violence. Like that's just, we will never understand that. And this is why I think, how can you live, right, in a community, a city, a country, doesn't matter where it is around the world, when you've got years and years and years and years of hate that has been built up over beyond what we can even comprehend, right, and understand what has happened over all those years. How can we live in a society, community, city, countries, with people, all of us, right, what we call multiculturalism, which I love, right? I mean, I'm from Portuguese background. I'm a Canadian living in Australia. I came on a visa just like one of the shooters is an example, right? He came on a visa, had a baby here, that just like me. I've had my kids here. But how can we live all in unity when there is so much hate? Like to me, this has been ongoing for years. This one hits close to home. But the reason why this one hits close to home is because it is at home. But CNN, news.com, we are reading these types of horrors every day that are happening around the world that you're like, Tesla, let's talk about, okay. You know what I mean? We're not, we're immune to it from a global scale, but we're non-immune to it in a, when it is in your backyard. And I just don't know how moving forward this will ever stop. In my opinion, it will be an ongoing issue for years and years to come, just like it has been for many years in the past. And it's not about abolishing it, it's how do you manage it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, there was a YouTube mini series. I think it's on YouTube. Yeah, I think maybe through Real Vision or whatever, and it was called World on a Brink, and it was 4-part series created by this demographer / macro guy, and it explains how a lot of this stuff is and has been building that, and it kind of a little bit aligns to like the fourth turning, that you get to this fourth cycle of this, like the seasons, the 4 seasons, and this is where you see much more of this stuff happen. That you'll notice at the moment that political assassinations are in their highest season of the 4 seasons. Like all of there's no coincidence that this is all happening now at the same time. The optimist in me, if there's any bit of optimism, says that it will pass and die down, and then kick back up again in 80 to 100 years or whatever. But yeah, a lot of this stuff is being predicted and has been predicted, and a lot of it follows demographics, and a lot of people have opinions on immigration and things like that, and that's part of demographics, right? But I think your question is a key question, Eric. It's like, how do we, the individual people of this country, how do we manage it? How do we live day by day knowing that this is something that we have to potentially deal with accelerating?
One thing I think that I heard, James.
I was going to be, it's certainly interesting to see all the early reactions from government, what they're doing and about it, or what they're calling to first in response to it. Like you saw a big shock.
It's interesting.
Yeah, go on to.
Sorry, you go ahead. Big Chalky.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, Big Chalky put out something immediately saying automatically there's layers of law legislation being proposed already, and a restriction on guns. It's like, well,
yeah, I mean, this happened within days of the social media ban, which is really in everybody whose intelligence brain is a Trojan horse designed to control free speech. And one thing I do believe is that we do need to be able to have free speech and talk about these things. And I think calling people racist for one of talking about these fundamental issues that are driven by, Jewish or Muslim or, like particular groups. If you can't talk about these particular groups, then we're not going to find any solutions. I found one clip.
Yes.
I wouldn't mind getting your response to. Go ahead.
Adam, on that sub 16-year-olds are now not privy to that discussion. Like, you could argue that could be a danger to them if they're not clued in on this kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah, free speech is so critically important, and the ability, and already videos that some people have been sending me, I go to watch them and they're gone, right? They're absolutely censoring the crap out of what happened. They don't want you to see certain things, so they're absolutely in there chopping and cutting. But I just want to play one quick clip just to get your take on it, guys, because this one I saw this morning. I've seen lots, but sometimes you see one that's a standout. Like I saw that one of like one of these guys was, anyway, we'll leave that one. But this is a clip that came out earlier this year, and I think this is a distinction because a lot of Australians, I think, just put all Muslims in one basket. Just all Muslims are bad. And I think that's a problem with Australia as quite as sheltered from the rest of the world. There's 2.5 billion Muslims in the world. And I think it is problematic when, as a country, we just think all Muslims are bad. And there's a lot of, in my opinion and experience, there's loads and loads and loads and many, many, many great Muslim people that absolutely, detest what happened as much as we do. And I think that's important. And there's this distinction between the problem of extreme Islamist views versus just the everyday peaceful Muslim. But I just want to play this clip because it's a really interesting clip. And it's the video is sped up slightly so that it's under 3 minutes. But I just want to watch this, and because it perfectly, I think, articulates at least how I feel about this poisonous piece of Islamic beliefs. And you know, so I'd just love to get your take on it, and we'll get your own, put it on in post as well. But have a listen to this.
Assalamualaikum. Peace to you all. My name is Saba Ahmed. I'm a law student at American University. I am here to ask you a simple question. I know that we portray Islam and all Muslims as bad, but there's 1.8 billion Muslim followers of Islam. We have 8 million plus Muslim Americans in this country, and I don't see them represented here. But my question is, how can we fight an ideological war with weapons? How can we ever end this war? The jihadist ideology that you talk about, it's an ideology. How can you ever win this thing if you don't address it ideologically?
Great question. I am so glad you're here, and I am so glad you brought that up because it gives us an opportunity to answer. What I find so amazing is since the beginning of this panel, which we are here about Benghazi attack against our people, not one person mentioned Muslims. We are here against Islam, or we're launching war against Muslims. We are here to discuss how 4 Americans died and what our government is doing. We were not here to bash Muslims. You were the one who brought up the issue about most Muslims, not us. And since you brought it up, allow me to elaborate with my answer. There are 1.2 billion Muslims in the world today. Of course, not all of them are radicals. The majority of them are peaceful people. The radicals are estimated to be between 15 to 25% according to all intelligence services around the world. That leaves 75% of them peaceful people. But when you look at 15 to 25% of the world Muslim population, you're looking at 180 million to 300 million people dedicated to the destruction of Western civilization. That is as big of the United States. So why should we worry about the radicals, 15 to 25%? Because it is the radicals that kill. Because it is the radicals that behead and massacre. When you look throughout history, when you look at all the lessons of history, most Germans were peaceful, yet the Nazis drove the agenda. And as a result, 60 million people died, almost 14 million in concentration camps, 6 million were Jews. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at Russia, most Russians were peaceful as well. Yet the Russians were able to kill 20 million people. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at China, for example, most Chinese were peaceful as well. Yet the Chinese were able to kill 70 million people. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at Japan prior to World War II, most Japanese were peaceful as well. Yet Japan was able to butcher its way across Southeast Asia, killing 12 million people, mostly killed with bayonets and shovels. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. On September 11th in the United States, we had 2.3 million Arab Muslims living in the United States. It took 19 hijackers, 19 radicals to bring America down to its knees, destroy the World Trade Center, attack the Pentagon, and kill almost 3,000 Americans that day. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. So for all our powers of reasons and us talking about moderate and peaceful Muslims, I'm glad you're here. But where are the others speaking out? And since you are the only Muslim representative, take the applause from the end. And since you're the only Muslim representative in here, you took the limelight instead of speaking about why our government, and I assume, are you an American? You're an American citizen. So as an American citizen, you sat in this room and instead of standing up and saying a question or asking something about our 4 Americans that died and what our government is doing to correct the problem, you stood there to make a point about peaceful, moderate Muslims. I wish you brought Ted with you to question about how we can hold our government responsible. It is time we take political correctness and throw it in the garbage where it belongs.
So it's an interesting point, right? And this is kind of more articulately than I can probably say it, what I've been sounding the alarm bell about on my socials for a while now, which is, yes, we know that most Muslims are peaceful, but even a minority that believe in the extreme interpretations of the Quran.
Holy shit, Adam, 25% is not a minority. That is so much higher.
People don't realize this, that I think it's roughly 25% of Muslims believe that death is the appropriate response to people who leave the faith. And when you're talking, and people go, it's only 25% of 2.3 billion people. You're talking about hundreds of millions of people who believe this. And this is the part that why I get so wound up about this. And I think people have got to realize, and like Charlie Kirk did some amazing content on this, where he just flat out said, fundamental extremist Islamic views are not compatible with the West. But as Eric pointed out, we here in the West, especially Australia, where it's been a really peaceful country, just can't process thousands of years of hate. It's just so foreign to us. So
yeah, I mean, extremism isn't about belief, right? It's refusing to live with people who disagree. That's what it is.
It's everything.
Right? And it's extremism on all fronts. right? There's extremism in a lot of different cultures, in a lot of different religions, but obviously the one that we're talking about now is the one at hand, and this is the one that's been at hand for quite some time. Because again, it's like moral certainty. There is no compromise. Do you know what I mean? There is no, I can see your side, you can see my side. When it comes to the extremism part, like, and yeah, like you look at,
The complete
I think it was someone that I don't know if it was Adam or someone posted it, you know, in 2023 at the Sydney Opera House when they were chanting.
Yeah, I
Right.
posted it.
Yeah, and then 2 years later, here they are knocking them off. Like it doesn't and then we're going, oh shit, is this, you know, government? Is that what? You know, like it's just. And then what do we do? Mass censorships, all these types of things. Stronger gun laws. You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean stronger gun laws? Like, if laws stop violence, Australia would be immune to it already. Like, this is the thing.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
right, like we have the strongest gun laws in most countries. We'd be immune to it, but it's still happening. This isn't the first one. The Sydney Lind Cafe, remember that one that was happened 10 years ago, maybe, like, and they will continue to happen. They will.
It was on the
find a way to
anniversary,
get-
by the way. It was on the
Was it
same
on the
day.
anniversary? Yeah. So there's a lot of this that gets planned. So
the I've never ever heard anyone basically say it's 25%. Like
I have.
that's that is a huge problem. Like how can you weed out 1 in 4, right?
If you want to see the argument, just Google Sam Harris, Ben Affleck. You know Ben Affleck, the actor.
Yeah.
Sam Harris and Ben Affleck went head to head on this on a show in the US, and Sam Harris just obviously dismantled Ben Affleck with his lefty views and said, "Mate, here is the math. You know, you're sitting across from an intellect," and he goes, "This is the math," and this is. You know, this is why I get so pissed off when people call you racist for bringing up hard data like this. It's not racist. You're not talking about a race. You're talking about an ideology, for starters. And it's just so hard to process that there's more than 100 million, 200 million, 400 million, depending on the estimate you believe, of people who believe literally that, you know, you should be thrown off a bridge if you're gay or killed, you know, the very worst interpretations of the Quran. And this is why in places like Poland, they just don't tolerate it at all. In China, they treat it as a mental illness. Now, I'm not saying that's right either. I'm just saying there's this, you know, that's why they do it.
I got a question, right? Like you look at, I've been listening to some of Daniel's stuff on Instagram. All right, package.
Yeah, I've been
And-
watching this.
And obviously he lives in Dubai. Dubai, you know, is a high percentage of Muslim people. And he says these things don't happen there. Now, whether they happen or don't happen, or they don't publicize it, or again, I don't know enough about it. But like, why wouldn't it happen there? What are the differences? What are the differences there than here, as an example? Because multiculturalism, it's quite like we've just been there. There is people from all over the world there, right? Everywhere, you name it, they're there.
Throw Singapore in there as well. It doesn't happen there. I mean, they've got
There's no democracy really there. And Singapore, I think, is a democracy, but I don't think it really is a democracy.
So is it?
It's got a hell of a hard line.
Is it back to what we were saying before, Eric? That the biggest issue, the two biggest issues for me are the math is so against us in terms of birth rates, right? If you just look at the math, that's crazy, and it's a trend that I don't see how is going to reverse. That's scary. And then the other issue is, like you said, it is an ideology and a way of thinking that is to directly counter the freedom and the free speech and the bedrock of Western values. And perhaps that's the reason that you don't see it there, because it's Western values that they're targeting.
Yeah, but
You go back to Eric's point about the guy was on the radar for 6 years. He's got six guns. I mean, but it's like, how do you monitor that? It's just 25% have got the similar sort of ideology, and you go, well, at what point has it actually crossed the line, done something illegal, and what point?
Yeah.
How much do you monitor with that one person? The cost of society to monitor that would be incredible.
Shutting
Good.
down your borders. Like,
Showing you, but I'm going to, and showing real leadership. I'm going to play another quick clip for you guys. This is the most viewed clip ever on my channel, and it's got it rings really true today, where this was, I think 7 years ago, and it's the foreign minister of the UAE, and he's warning the West that in the future, terrorists will come from your own land, right? As this one did, born in Australia, took up arms, targeted people and shot them, including a 10-year-old girl. I just want to play this clip again. It's touched nearly 7 million views on my channel, but just listen to what he says. And this is to answer your question directly, Eric, why it doesn't happen in the UAE, because they don't tolerate it. Watch this.
And let me say this in English so you can understand what I'm saying.
I have translation.
No, I know you have translation, but I just want to make sure you get it right. There will come a day that we will see far more radical extremists and terrorists coming out of Europe because of the lack of decision-making, trying to be politically correct, or assuming that they know the Middle East and they know Islam and they know the others far better than we do. And I'm sorry, but that's pure ignorance.
Yeah.
Again. So guys, let's move on from it. We've got other content to cover today. I think just to close this off, for any Australians affected by this, more directly than us as a nation, we are grieving with you. We want to acknowledge the first responders, the police, men and women. I believe it was a police woman, by the way, that shot the terrorist. But our thoughts are with the families and the first responders and those people that were there and affected directly by it.
Yeah.
We just stand with you.
I like to say one thing is just, again, to the Jewish community, for being targeted, and also to the Muslim community, where, because we all have Muslim friends, and I feel bad for them because they all get painted with the same brush as well. And it's not fair on them, because there will be 75% of the ones that aren't extreme that just get painted with the same brush, and
on that, Eric, I just want to get your thoughts on this. I would like to see it. I would love to see a social media trend where Muslims come out and denounce what happened.
Yeah.
And it shines a light on a problem, which is that many of the moderates won't. In fact, almost all of them won't, because they know that the extremists among them will target them. That's the social media trend I would like to see.
Adam, you mentioned, where was that guy from that you showed that clip of, the reel? Which country?
That one is the foreign minister of the UAE.
What do we know what steps and actions they take in order not to tolerate this over there? Because that's what I would love to understand. I would love for our government to be partnering with and communicating with these governments and working out exactly what it means to not tolerate this kind of behavior here, and
have a predominantly Muslim culture. So how did they achieve a predominantly Muslim? I think it's a fantastic. That's the kind of logical thinking, Mark, that our leadership.
Rather than making new laws on a whim, we need to be meeting with these people from these Muslim countries who do not tolerate it, and we need to be implementing the same kind of approach.
Correct. That's great. That's a good segue. All right, so let's move to the other story that we want to dive into, which is, it's been a big week for Tesla, and driving this was the this announcement that they are potentially, and it actually was announced, I believe, last night, that they're going to be removing, they're testing now the removal of the human-monitored driverless robo-taxis in Texas. And I want to kick it off with just following up on something from last week. So last week, Eric, you mentioned this, you said, hey, look, technology is one thing, but the speed of adoption is another. And you cited fax machines in the medical industry, and that there's 4.8 billion emails, and it's been 30 years or whatever it is. But there's only 150 million ChatGPT users, so it could be a long time before it actually gets adopted. And I was thinking about that. So I went on to Grok, and I went and said, at the current rate of adoption of major LLMs like Grok and OpenAI and the current growth rates, when will we have 4.8 billion users of these platforms, just like there's 4.8 billion users of email? And the answer was stunning to me, because I didn't know either. And the answer is August 2028.
Wow.
So
that is very quick.
It's not 18 or 20 years. It is 2 years or 2.5 years. And
adopt or die, basically.
The point is, this is a tsunami, the likes of which we have never seen before. And so when we start talking about this announcement that robo-taxis are about to be tested without any human supervision, this is huge. And I just want to drop a couple of data points that I shared with you guys pre-pod, that essentially, the cost of cars is about to plummet. The cost of deliveries is about to plummet. It'll be almost cheaper to catch a taxi, a robo-taxi, than it is to bloody get on a push bike. So, what impacts do you see coming when you can buy a car, a robo-taxi, like a Tesla, that can basically drop your kids off at school, pick up mum or dad or whatever, drop the kids to sport, and when it's not doing that, it can join the robo-taxi fleet and earn money for the family? What impacts do you see of this?
Can I share a graphic? Because I just want to make clear for the uninitiated, it's not that you can. So I'm just sharing screen if you want to find it.
Yeah,
it's not just that you will buy. It's not just that you will buy a robo taxi. You can buy any Tesla, any Tesla, and that Tesla will be able to be part of a fleet that'll be able to pick up people and drop off people, basically when you're not using the car. This was an awesome graphic that I saw online today. There's 343 million people in the US, 243 million drivers. There's only 4 million Tesla owners and FSD users. So there's 500,000 people that actually use the full self-drive. Now I've got a Tesla and I use the full self-drive here, and it's becoming incredible, like to the point where there's no interruptions at all. And we have the software version that's behind the one that they're using in the US.
So when you say no interruptions, Mark, like when you're saying you're using the cell, what do you mean? Like, are you in the driver's seat and not touching the steering wheel or the gas pedal? What are you?
Yeah. So basically, you don't even need to put a place into the map. But if you want it to basically put a place into the navigation system, right? So you put a destination into the navigation system, then you click one button on the steering wheel, and that one button makes the car FSD, full self-driving. And that one button will get you to your destination. And at the start, you would have to interrupt it multiple times because it was about to go into a wrong lane or it was about to do something that was against the road rules. But now, I live in a small country town, right, where the lines aren't marked properly, etc. And there's one roundabout where it constantly takes the wrong lane because the cars are not yet at the point where they can think, where they can use inference, and then it's all pre-training. But I'm not interrupting the self-driving at all anymore, right? Like, it's getting to the point where there's less and less interruptions of needing to take over the vehicle, and it's doing it all itself. It takes the middle of the road. just some of the things that it's getting incredible. And I think one of the reasons that this is so important is not just for the economics behind self-driving, which are going to be massive, right? Like every single Tesla owner is going to be able to basically, Tesla's going to be a business. You're buying a business at the same cost of any other car. So your car is going to have the ability to earn. But why this is so important is because I think this is the key barrier to real world robotics, right? Like this is just a robot. The vehicle is just a robot. Now, it might not look like a human, but it's a robot. And if it's able to navigate the real world without LiDAR and sensors and strictly with cameras, so eyes, then that is going to be the floodgate and the Rubicon that it gets crossed that allows real world robotics. And I think even beyond the economics that Adam pointed out before, this is why this is such a big story, right? You've seen in the last year, 2 years, semiconductors, so the chips behind making all of this stuff work have just gone crazy. Like Nvidia's up 500% or something like that. Well, this is the next leg. Robotics is the next leg, and the Tesla use case, I think, is extremely important for that. So it's just layered with incredible breakthrough.
Are we short? Are we short Uber? What do you think? I mean, it's fucked apparently. Well, because why wouldn't Elon just have his own booking app through Tesla? There's no need to have Uber at all. I mean, you got how many million drivers are there? They're gone. And then Uber itself is gone because Elon can whip up that app in a nanosecond. So I mean,
yeah, I would have been short Uber from the time that Travis Kalanick or whatever the CEO founder was. He approached Elon and said, like, can we partner up? And Elon's like, nah. Like, I would have been short Tesla from there. But I'm just looking it up now to see what the long-term chart looks like.
Well, what's pretty cool about it is like, how does it affect humans and life? Is commute's now becoming irrelevant, right? You can work in the car, you can sleep in the car, you can relax. Like it's crazy. Like you basically have, a family room on wheels if you want. You can watch movies. And how is it going to affect? The other thing is you got to think of now is going, how does it affect metro living? You now don't have to, like, you're not commuting an hour or 2 hours every day, but yourself driving, being tired, that right? You're literally working. You will be like Ryan Serhant in New York City with a driver, right? Except he's not paying for a driver, and they're working the whole time. They got the laptop, and efficiency will go through the roof. But what does that mean for metro housing and apartments, as an example, right? Outer suburbs will start booming, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, they don't come with garages anymore. That's for sure.
No, they don't. And do you need car parks?
That's what I'm saying.
Think about all these. Right, so think about all these Wilson's car parking, right? Which I think is on from memory. Kevin Rudd's wife, I think, is Wilson's car parking, which I think is the biggest car parking business in the country.
They're in everything, those Rudds.
Yeah. But then all of a sudden, but no car parking. Think about all the car parks that are out there. So there's more room for green space. There's more room for mixed use development. Like, it's just mind-boggling when you start really digging into not just the efficiency and going, like the efficiency of freight.
Not only the cost of transport as well. I mean, when you've got a fleet around there, there's no human capital involved at all. I mean,
I got some numbers here for you, just taking this concept of robotics, because what Mark said is correct. These are just robots on wheels that don't look like humans. Like when you think about like Budweiser, for example, they have these huge distribution centers. They currently freight stuff across the country in semi-trailers or trains to another major distribution center, and then they have the last mile delivery done by vans or smaller trucks and stuff. Whereas these new Teslas trucks will just take them from point A to point B through the middle of the night, 24/7. It drops that last mile delivery. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's something like 22 cents per mile to like 8 cents per mile with a driverless Tesla truck. Like, you're talking massive, massive differences. If you're a Lindsay Fox, for example, Lindsay Fox will be out of business unless he has a Tesla fleet, But so here's some interesting numbers for you, talking about robots. I saw Cern Basher yesterday put a video up where he looked at Walmart and he looked at the Optimus robot. And we spoke about this last week, Eric, when I asked you about MX Store, what will happen when an Optimus knocks on your door. So Walmart has 2.1 million employees. Many of them are low complexity tasks, right? So he did the numbers.
Number one employer in the world.
Yes, 2.1 million employees work for Walmart. If 1 in 10 of Walmart employees are replaced, first of all, it's an order of 200,000 robots from Tesla for one, right? That's from one customer. If 1 in 10 get replaced, that's $8 billion in labor force savings. To put that in perspective, that's 30% of their profit margin increased straight onto the bottom line if only 1 in 10 of their low-skilled employees are replaced. They have 1 million staff turnover a year, right? 1 million staff. The number one reason they're turned over, boredom in the job, right? Right. So 1 million people. The cost of those 1 million people is estimated at $5,000 per employee to replace them by the time you pay a recruitment fee, a hiring fee, and the retraining cost. So there's $5 billion in turnover costs gone out of Walmart's balance sheet. And then in addition to that, they lose $3 billion a year through theft, of which they think Optimus will catch nearly all theft. Interestingly, of the $3 billion of theft, $1 billion is from their own employees.
Not surprised.
So there's another $3 billion. So there's $8 billion between theft and staff turnover costs, in addition to the $8 billion in just hard labor costs they save by replacing 1 in 10 employees. The disruption and the value creation, Tesla is disrupting labor. It's not a car company. And this is what people don't understand, that they are disrupting labor at scale, which is what Tesla invests in.
And if you're an investor or a capital allocator, what you got to understand as well, and I think the most important thing to the share price of companies that adopt these robots is that they are trading an expense item on their balance sheet for a capital item that's depreciatable over time. And so the share prices of these companies who adopt robots in place of employees is also going to skyrocket. Their multiples are going to increase. I hope we get the chance to
say that again, Mark. Mark, just say that again, because if you were not listening because you were watching on something on the road, just say what you just said again, Mark, because that's fucking profound.
Yeah, a lot of the talking heads will basically say, oh, these multiples, like the price to earnings of this company, is unsustainable. But when you're taking the biggest line item expense on your balance sheet off your balance sheet, and you're trading it for a capital investment item, which is depreciatable over time, the multiples of these companies is going to expand. Right.
And so Amazon's share price.
Yeah. And if you're an investor, you're going to want to pay attention to that. I hope we get to also watch that short clip, because it kind of ties it back to how it works, like for the people in the bottom of the scale of the real world.
And you usually with business, what's the biggest pain in the ass for you three that have had business in the past? It's usually recruitment. I was talking to a contact of Eric's on last week. He had 500 odd staff in the hospitality space, and he just said, we became a recruitment company. And I said, how'd you find that? And after he had his exit, he said, I don't miss it at all. Get that. Oh, it's a fucking pain in the ass hiring people. I only read an article this morning from Layla Mosey from acquisition.com, and the cost to recruit and the cost to replace if you don't onboard correctly and all this other bullshit can we now be bypassed by just pushing a button, trained immediately on the floor, selling a coffee, whatever it may be.
What are your guys' thoughts, right? I've always been saying this about real estate, right? More real estate will be held in less hands, which gives a minority control over real estate, as an example, right? Like the BlackRocks and these big companies coming in and buying, tens of thousands of houses and units. I now look at, Elon Musk, obviously the most intelligent man probably in the world that we know of, our modern day Einstein, like him, love him or hate him. And I look at it and go, this man, right, with his own two hands, because I don't care what anybody says, he will be in full control of transportation around the world. And he will be
And in
full
space.
control of
And in
internet,
space.
right? And he will be in full control of internet. You can see where it's going. How does that make you feel? I'd like to know each of you guys' thoughts in regards to, because yeah, it's an interesting thought, because at any one time, that one person has full control, whether they're good, they're bad, they're evil, they want to screw shit up if they want. What are your? I'm just being the devil's advocate, going.
Another moral debate.
We're basically giving the keys, not to the city, the keys to the world, to one person who's outsmarted. Really, he has outsmarted anybody else by, I don't even know how long.
We're not giving him the keys. Like he's literally creating this new world.
But this is what I mean. How does it make you feel? We're basically putting all of our trust in the future of transportation and connectivity to one person.
I think, and he'll say this as well, I think it's gotten to a point now where even without him, the world is still going to go this way, right? Like it might go a little bit slower, but I do think it's gotten to a point now that even without him, the world is going to go this way. I mean, they're just my initial thoughts.
Yeah, I wouldn't peg Elon as a bad actor per se, or have some behind the scenes plan that he's trying to concoct it all. But as Mark said, it's not just Elon now. There's everyone will follow suit very shortly.
At the end of the day, he's only going to win if people buy his stuff. So the market, like the rest of us, is going to vote or not vote for Elon Musk's products. I think that the market and the world is going to select Elon. He's not got control any more than we buy his products. Just like Apple didn't get any more control than what they earned through innovating and creating great products. So, I mean, it's going to be an interesting time moving into it. I just want to, like, I've been sounding the alarm bell on my socials about the other stuff we talked about today, but this is another growing alarm bell, but not like fear. It's like, things are changing, guys. Like mass disruption. Can
we play that clip from Pomp and Jordi Visser, Adam?
Yep, let's play it. 1 second.
Because I think that it ties things back to the average guy. Do you want me to?
I've got it here. We'll throw it up in post as well, so that's properly done.
It does feel like there are more and more tech companies. Now, I'll say tech companies because it could be one-person startups, but I saw data recently that showed the number of U.S. small businesses that filed for bankruptcy just hit a new record. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that I keep kind of struggling with here is, on one hand, in my tech circle friends and people who, are like on the internet, it's not ever been easier to create something that can make money. I know people who are doing it on Substack. I know people who are doing it on YouTube. I know people who are doing podcasts. I know people who are creating little, software products and they're shipping it. I know people who are creating courses or all kinds of things that I think people generally would label as like a side hustle. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, small business bankruptcies is at an all-time high. It just feels like the economy is going through a transition. And an area where I see this is, I recently tweeted 7 years ago, I wrote a piece talking about assets. And what I said was, up until the 1980s, 1990s, we lived in the analog age of securities. So this whole idea was, it was physical assets, physical stocks, physical bonds, physical, deeds to your home, et cetera. At some point in maybe the 90s into the early 2000s, we transitioned to an electronic age. Everything became an electronic QSIP. Now, when you buy a stock, they don't send you the stock certificate. You hold the electronic QSIP. We're now transitioning into the digital age. And I wrote it 7 years ago, and I thought it was, it was about to happen, but it seems like now DTC just got this no action letter from the SEC. Like there's some things that are starting to happen where you're seeing it occur. So financial markets are going through a transition from like an electronic and analog into this digital world. But it also feels like on a macro basis, the U.S. economy is transitioning. We are going from something that is not digital, something that is not got software at the heart of it. And so in that transition, it just feels like there is immense disruption. and you're almost like shedding skin, like a snake that's going to regrow their skin. It sucks. People lose their jobs. Companies go out of business, all stuff. But like, it does feel like if you unemotionally look at it, that's kind of what's happening in the economy. Is that a fair assessment in your mind?
100%. But let's say what you're describing.
And I think in order to answer your initial question, and Adam kind of echoed that sentiment, on a high level, providing this technology and this shift allows more people to go from employees to starting side hustles and being one-man band entrepreneurs or tech startups or Substack writers or whatever. And then those people are able to use the proceeds from those new business ideas in order to buy assets and bridge the gap between the rich and the poor, then this is going to continue to accelerate no matter who's at the forefront. But that is going to be the litmus test that we are going to need to be able to be one-man band startups and accumulate assets. And if we can't, then there's going to be more revolt. There's going to be more assassinations like Charlie Kirk type stuff, and it's going to get worse and worse and worse. So that I think is the litmus test.
Yeah, I look at it and I just go like, right now people have a choice to learn it or not, to adopt tech or not, to adopt a side hustle or not. Yeah. In the future, you will have no choice. A gun will be pointed to your head at some point, right? When you are made redundant, right? And they say, yes, it's going to create more jobs. Of course, it's going to create more jobs, but let's be realistic. It ain't going to be creating more jobs than the jobs that are going to be lost.
It's not for the 40-plus-year-olds, right? It's those people are not going to be able to retrain necessarily. So it's incumbent to retrain yourself. Whereas people who are coming into the workforce now, well, they're digital natives. So it'll be much easier for them.
Correct. There will be a transition.
To your point, Eric, I thought that was another point I thought about last week when Mark said, Amazon's AI enabled, and it's like, they're one of the largest employers in the world. My question that I thought about afterwards was, but how many people lost their jobs in corner stores and small businesses? Like, yes, Amazon grew to 100,000 employees or 200,000 employees. Well, I think they're at 600,000 employees, whatever. But how many jobs were lost? How many small businesses were closed because of Amazon? So it might have been 10 million people lost their jobs and 1 million of them ended up at Amazon and 9 million people were displaced. The question is, what happened to those 9 million people? And if you look at unemployment figures, that might tell you some of the truth, but they're so fiddled with by politicians that you got no idea. But you do see things like, in America, 20% of Americans now are buying their groceries with buy now, pay later. Black Friday, which is stunning, right? Like 1 in 5 Americans are using Afterpay to pay their groceries. Black Friday, there was a huge amount. I mean, you probably might have even seen it in your business, Eric, and have some meaningful data about how many people are using Afterpay now versus 2 years ago.
Yeah, Afterpay keeps continuing to grow.
Yeah.
Every year, every month, every week. But again, it's demographic changes. Like, I want to ask you a question. James, do you have a credit card?
I do, but I don't use it at all.
Do you have a credit card, Adam? You're different now. You're buying everything off Bitcoin basically now, right? But
I still use a credit card. You clear it at the end of the month.
Yeah, so do I. Mark, do you use a credit card and clear it at the end of the month?
Yeah.
Yeah, so do I, right? And there's multiple reasons for why we do what we do. I can guarantee you, if you go and ask anyone between the ages of 20 and 30, if they use a credit card, majority of them will say no, based on the data, because what do they use? Now, they use other services like Afterpay. James, have you ever used Afterpay?
No.
Adam, have you ever used Afterpay? Yeah. Mark, have you ever used Afterpay?
Yeah, I use it because it's an extra bit of credit that I can pay.
I don't, right? So, but what I'm saying here is the younger generation don't use credit cards. They use these different types of tech platforms like Afterpay. So there's that transition there, and it's the same thing. It's going to be very hard at some point for some people to transition. Like I look at my dad as an example, and this won't, I don't think, affect him heavily because they're retired now. but like he doesn't know how to use a phone like we use a phone, you know? Like I call him on WhatsApp and he's still trying to figure things out, and it's been 5 years, 10 years. So there's be a point in time where I don't know how old that person's going to be. I think they're going to be a little bit older than us, but there's going to be some people that it's going to be very painful to transition from a non-tech brain to all of a sudden I have to adapt to these different ways with tech.
I keep saying it. I keep saying it every week. I say it. It's not going to be. It's not in the future on the horizon. It's now. We're in it now. We are currently in that transition period.
Everyone watching, one thing I dropped in the pod today that I hope you didn't miss was the name Cern Basher, CERN, Cern Basher. Just follow him on YouTube because he's a Tesla analyst and he breaks down in really simple terms the ways that Tesla will become a valuable company. Even if you don't invest in Tesla, up to you, whatever you want to do, you'll start learning about how these technologies are going to change the world. And for young people listening, there's going to be huge opportunities. For older people, there's also going to be huge opportunities of different kind where your experience and stuff is going to be very valuable. But we've got to bring this one to a close. Guys, thanks for your sharing today. I know it was a tough subject for the first half. And I want to close today with a video that's going to take us out. And I think you guys are going to love it. It was posted by a guy called Sammy Thompson. So it's 2 underscores, Sammy, SAMMY Thompson. I don't know if he's the creator of it or not, but I'll post the clip on the way out. And the reason I want to watch it is because I think it beautifully captures Australian life. And what I think anyway, and I think what most Australians would say, some of these images and values is what we would like to capture and preserve into the future. We are a changing country, but there's certainly a lot of good things in our past, and it's a feel good basically, and we'll just go out with it. And I just want to say to all the audience, on behalf of all of us here and the entire Unemployable team, which is growing, thank you for your time and attention this year. Thank you for being in our audience, even if we've butted heads with you. We appreciate you dropping by and being part of the discussion. And we send you all our very best going into the end of this year. Have some downtime if you're an entrepreneur. Put the tools down. Spend time with your kids. Spend time with your loved ones. Look them in the eye. You don't know how long you've got, no matter what. So make the most of it. So thanks for watching. And let's play this little video to take us out. And
I'll just add one thing, Adam. So this podcast will go live this Friday, which I think is the 19th of December. This will be the last Friday pod till second week of January. So if there's no new pods coming out on a Friday between now and then, we're still around. It's still happening, but we're taking a little well-deserved break.
Indeed. Okay, let's watch this together and we'll take it out. Here we go.
All of that.
Cricket. I miss backyard cricket.
I miss all of that. I miss the lolly shop, man. I miss all of that. I never thought I'd say it and mean it, but God bless Australia and what we stand for as a country. Have a great Christmas, everybody. Bye for now.
God bless you guys.
Hey there. I hope you enjoyed that episode of Unemployable. If you'd like to watch another episode, just click there.